Hello everyone, this is Professor Robert Solis. Welcome to this video lesson. We're going to work on lab number 3, which is Introduction to the Alternate Keyboard Shortcuts. And what we're going to do is have the user enter their first name, and then if we click hello, then it's going to say hello Robert. If we click goodbye, it's going to say goodbye Robert. And at the same time, we also want to talk about these alternate keyboard shortcuts, like Alt-A means that it's the same thing as if you were clicking the hello button. Alt-G would be the same thing as if you were to click the goodbye button. Alt-X would be the same thing as if you clicked the exit button. And then here are some of the different software requirements of what we're going to name the various objects, and some of the user requirements as well. Okay, so let's get started on this, and I'm going to switch over to Visual Studio, and I'm going to create a new project. So this will be new project, and I'm creating a C# program. So I'm going to select C#, and I'm going to create a Windows Forms application. And over here, I'll just simply say C# Lab 3. And let me go ahead and click OK. Give it a couple seconds, the form will pop up. And as we have done in previous videos, I'm going to open up the toolbox, and I'm going to click the auto hide push pin so that it doesn't hide. I know I'm going to need the properties panel, so I'll click that. And I like to use the alphabetical button over here, so we'll select that. All right, so I'm going to go back over here to the requirements. It looks like I need a label, some buttons, and a text box. Okay, so I'll just simply click over here on the button, click. Select the label, click, and then select the text box, click. So these are the various items I need. I don't need the toolbox anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and hide that. I want to make all of these 12 points, so I'm going to select all of these, and then I'll go over here to the font property, specifically to the size. Then we double click and type in 12 points and press enter. So now all of these are 12 points. I'm going to unselect, take this label, and I'm going to go all the way to the upper upper left-hand corner, and you see the little blue guidelines on the top and on the left. Let me let go. I'm definitely going to have to resize this thing, so I'm going to go over here to the auto size property and change that to false by double-clicking it. Changes it to false. Let's see, what's the text supposed to say? Enter your first name. Okay. So down over here in the text property, enter your first name. Oops. First name. And obviously our label is not wide enough, so let me go ahead and make that a little bit wider, something like that. Gosh, you know, it sure looks like this font is a little bit bigger, so do I say anything about the font size? I do not, but it just seems like it's a little bit bigger, so maybe I should bring this up to like 16 points or something like that. Alrighty, so over here back in the font property, the size is currently 12. Oh, by the way, if I were to click on font, you'll see that I have this 3-dot ellipsis button. If I click on that, it's going to show a dialog where I can also select a different font type, the size, strikeout, underline, so forth and so on. So this is another option as well. Let's make this thing 16. Click OK. And I'll have to make this a little bit wider. Okay, I like that. And we'll make it just a little bit bigger here. Okay, I like that. That looks pretty good. And underneath this, I'm supposed to enter the text box. It looks like the text box is a little bit wider than the label. So let me put this over here like this and go all the way across like this, all the way to the end of the form, which means I'll have to take this label and center it. So if I wanted to center the label, this is what I will do. I'll make it so that this edge of the label goes to this part of the text box, this edge of the label goes to this edge of the text box, and then I want to center. So what I'll do is I'll go over here to the text align property. Currently it's selected for top left. I'll select top center. And then as soon as I do that, notice that the label is centered in accordance to the text box below. All right, next, let's have 3 buttons. So hello, goodbye, and the exit button. Okay. So I'll take this guy over here, and let's see here. If I go all the way across, that's what it looks like. It looks like the 50% Location is right here where those handles are located, so, and a little smaller right there. It's pretty good. And I think this is the hello. Yep, this is going to be the hello button. So I'll go to the text property, type in hello. I'm going to copy and paste this button. So Control C, Control V as in Victor. Put this over here. Notice the guidelines are as follows. The magenta goes all the way across to the other button, and then I have the blue on the right-hand side, 2 blue guidelines. And this is supposed to say goodbye. So I'll go to the text property, goodbye, enter. Looks good. And then I have that bottom button, that's the exit button. So I'll just take one of these guys over here, Control C, Control V as in Victor, and I'll span this all the way across here, all the way across over here, and then I'll change that to exit, like that. Okay, lastly, I have this label down here. So all I have to do really is just take this label over here, copy and paste it, or I could go to the toolbox and drag and drop a label if I wanted to. I'll just take this guy over here, Control C, Control V as in Victor, move this into place. Maybe a little bit more space. I'm going to use my up arrow to move this up a little bit. That looks good right there. Maybe make this a little bit taller. And I don't want that to be aligned on the top. I want it to be aligned center. So what I'll do is I'll go to the text align property and I'll select this guy over here that says middle center. And you can see the effect. It's in the middle and in the center. I want to make sure that there's a border around this label, so I'm going to go over here to border style, and I can select fix single or fix 3D. I'll select fix single. So far everything is looking good. I think the only thing next is to just simply get rid of the text, because initially the label is not supposed to have any text. So I'll just simply double click on text, press the backspace, or I'm on my Macintosh, so I'll press delete. For a PC you would hit backspace, press enter, and yep, looks good. So let me go ahead and reduce the size of the form here like this. I like it. All right, it looks like no minimize, no maximize button, and the title is supposed to be message. So with the form selected, so if I select the form like this, we're going to get rid of the minimize and the maximize box. So I'll double click over here to make that false, double click to make this false. No more minimize, no more maximize. We're going to change that text property to message. Enter. Isn't that what it's supposed to be? Yep, message. And we are done with the graphical user interface. Looks pretty good. So let me go ahead and click Save All. And now we're going to have to give names to the various controls on the form. And it looks like in the requirements, it says that the text box has to be txt first name. All right, so I'll select the text box. Go back to the top of the properties panel, specifically where it says name. And let's see, what did I say? TXT first name. Okay, so TXT first name. TXT first name, enter. And it looks like for the buttons, I have BTN hello, BTN goodbye, BTN exit, and then the label down here is LBL result. Okay, so over here, the Hungarian notation for a button is BTN and then hello. And then we have over here BTN goodbye. Finally, we have BTN exit. So BTN exit. And then we also have this label, which we're going to call LBL result. Let me save my work by clicking Save All. Looking good. All right, so what we want to do is make it so that based on what the user clicks, it's going to display the appropriate message down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click on the exit button, because that will show you the easy part of the code. We're just simply going to close the program, so I'll double click on exit. It takes me to the code area, and I'm going to reduce the properties panel here just so that I don't need it right now, so let's reduce that or minimize it. And over here, if I want to close the program, I'm just simply going to type close, open, close parentheses, semicolon, and now when the user clicks the exit button, it will close the program. Well, let me just verify that that works. I'm going to start the program. You'll notice in a second over here, this is going to say running, and then the window will pop up. There it is. Up, we're running, and I'm going to click close, and then now you'll see that we are no longer running. Good, that works. Let me go back over here to the design panel and I'll double click on hello. So that's going to take me into the event where we click the BTN hello button. And what I want to do is I want to change the label, and gosh, I don't remember the name of that label. Who cares? All you have to do is type in LBL, because you know that the Hungarian notation for all labels is LBL, just like the Hungarian notation for all buttons is BTN. And so what we're doing is we're taking advantage of the Microsoft IntelliSense by giving these prefixes, and therefore you don't have to remember, right? As computer scientists, we don't want to have to remember this stuff. We're going to use the tool that's available to us, which is, in this case, Microsoft's IntelliSense, intelligent sensing, of what you may want. And sure enough, I want labels. So I'm not going to remember the name of the labels. All I type is LBL. Yep, that's the guy that I want. Double click. .te. Wow, great. It shows up right there. Double click. This is the assignment operator. We are about to put the right-hand stuff into the left-hand stuff. So what are we doing? We're going to put a text into the text property of the label. Well, what text are we going to put? Well, first of all, the user clicked the hello button. So I better say hello. I'm going to put a space here on purpose. If I did not put a space, then you would see the word hello and Robert. Say, for example, say hello Robert with no space in between. We don't want that. Okay, let me use the plus symbol. In this context, we call that the concatenation operator. Concatenation. The concatenation operator just simply means connect the left and the right-hand part together. And it typically is used with strings. So what are we going to do? We are going to concatenate the word hello with whatever is in the text box. Well, I forgot the name of the text box. Wait a minute. All I have to do is type in txt, and it'll show me all the text boxes. In this case, I only have one. Double click. Dot. Text, TE, yep, that's what I want. Hit tab, hit the semicolon. So what we'll do is we'll take the person's first name, specifically the text of the person's first name. We're going to concatenate that with the word hello and a space right there. We are going to assign that to the text property of the label. Let me save my work, and let me go ahead and start the program. Let's see what happens. So I'm over here and I type in Robert. Okay, well, first of all, let's see if I can make it so that when I type in the text, it's centered. That's no big deal. I mean, it's on the left-hand side, but let's just make it so that it's centered, especially since everything seems to look like it's centered. I click hello, hello, Robert. Perfect. Let me click exit. Perfect. Right, we are no longer running, as you can see over here. And that looks good. Let's do the same thing now with goodbye, because the user clicks goodbye. We want it to say goodbye, Robert. So go back over here, double click on the button, goodbye. Once again, we are trying to put something into the result label, specifically the phrase goodbye, space. I'm going to concatenate that with whatever is in the text box. So you are taking these two strings, you are concatenating them, you are going to assign it into the text property of the label. All right? See what happens. So I type in Robert, click hello, hello Robert. Click goodbye, goodbye Robert. Go back to hello, go back to goodbye. Perfect. Looks good. And then of course exit. Looking good. Now this lab also has an additional requirement in that we want to associate the escape button with exit, as you can see here. Well, that's the cancel property of the form. So let me go back over here to design. I'm going to select the form by single clicking on it. I'll single click on this title area. And let me open up the properties panel, and you're going to notice this guy over here called the cancel button property. Now, what the cancel button property does is it says, if you press this button, in this case it's going to be exit, if you press this button, or press escape rather, on the keyboard, it's going to be as if you clicked this button. So I'm making a relationship between the escape button on the keyboard and one of the buttons on my form, which in this case I want it to be related to BTN exit. So if I run the program, now I know you can't see me, I don't have a camera on my hands, but right now I'm about to press the escape keyboard, or the escape key on the keyboard. 3, 2, 1, press, and it closed the program. Nice. So we've established a relationship between this button and the escape key on the keyboard. All right, so I just took care of that requirement. If the user clicks hello, button, we're going to display hello followed by the user's first name. Yep, we got that. If the user clicks goodbye, we got that. Assign the following alternate keyboard shortcuts as follows. Okay, so Alt-H would be the same thing as if you were to press hello. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, let me open up another program here just to give you the illustration. Specifically, I'm going to open up Notepad. So Notepad, there it is. All right, so here's Notepad. Now, again, you can't see on the keyboard, but I'm about to press Alt. So let me just press Alt, and notice that F has an underline, E has an underline, O has an underline. So we call this the alternate keyboard shortcut. So if I say Alt F, Alt F, it's going to open up that menu. If I want to close the program, notice over here that I'd have to click X. So if I click X, that's going to close the program. No, I do not want to save. So that's what I mean by the alternate keyboard shortcut. And in accordance to this user requirement, it says Alt-H would be the same thing as clicking hello. How do you do that? Well, first of all, let me select the button. We go over here to the text property. And the way that works out is you just simply go to the text property and you put an ampersand in front of the letter that's going to be the alternate keyboard shortcut. So notice that I put an ampersand in front of the H. Now I'm going to press enter. Now this still says hello, but in fact if you look very carefully at the H, you'll see an underline. Now let me go ahead and run the program. We won't see an underline at this point. Right now it's just hello with no underline. I'm going to hold down the alternate keyboard on the alternate key on my keyboard. So I hold that down and notice now that H is underlined. So I forgot to put my word here. So let me put my name here, Robert. Now let me go ahead and say Alt-H. So I'll hold down Alt, I'll tap on H. Now I'm going to let go of Alt, and you'll see what happens. So let's do the same thing for goodbye, but let's see here. What are we supposed to do? It's Alt-G. Okay, so Alt-G. So let me select this guy and put an ampersand in front of the letter G. There we go. And then press enter. And then for exit, it looks like it's supposed to be Alt-X. So in other words, for this guy over here, let me put an ampersand in front of the letter X and then press enter. So the ampersand is how you establish the alternate keyboard shortcut. Let me go ahead and save my work, and I'll click Start. Here's the program. You don't see any underlines, but as soon as I hold down Alt, then you're going to see these underlines. By the way, once again, I forgot to type in my name, so let me type in my name. Again, I'm holding down Alt. I'm not tapping it and letting it go. It's right now I'm holding it with my index finger. With my other index finger, I'm going to press on G, and now I'm going to let go of the keyboard. None of my hands are on the keyboard. Now I want to see what happens if I say Alt-H. So I'm going to hold down Alt. I'm holding down Alt right now. I'm going to tap on H, let go of both keys. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt button. I'm holding it down right now, and I'm going to tap on X. So I tap on X, close the program, let go of the keyboard. So this is a really cool way of establishing the alternate keyboard shortcut, just like pretty much every single Windows program has, the ability to create these alternate keyboard shortcuts. All right, let me go back to the requirements, and I think that is it. So this was a really cool little lab just to make sure that you understand the usage of the alternate keyboard shortcuts. Also this idea of making it so that you can concatenate based on the button pressed, concatenate the appropriate message at the bottom. Pretty good little lab just to help you get established with those things. So good job. This is Professor Robert Solis. I hope this video lesson was helpful. Have a good day. See you next time.